Okay, this is why I don't consider myself enlightened, or I don't consider myself more enlightened than somebody else. What is enlightenment anyway? I mean, are we growing? Are we becoming this society of more enlightened individuals? As a whole, are we becoming more enlightened? As stuff goes on, as we have crisis and disasters and all sorts of things that are kind of throwing the world into upheaval. What does it mean to actually be enlightened? And are we on that path, or are we straying from that? You know, enlightenment, I think for different people have different definitions. To me, enlightenment is just kind of like more of a clarity of the world around you, and having a broader perspective of the world around you, and not just living in like this little bubble. And I strive for this because I read a lot of, I'm interested, I read a lot of material on this stuff, and not like crazy, but it's interesting to me to broaden my horizons, or broaden the perspective on reality, actually. And you know, I'm very interested in stuff like reality creation and being able to compose your reality and not just following this script or being taken just kind of by life itself rather than you being in control. So to me, being enlightened is kind of that aspect. But this is why I will never say that I am an enlightened individual. I am enlightened and you're not enlightened, because ego gets in the way. For a lot of people, and this is for a lot of people who claim to be enlightened individuals, or they claim to be very spiritual and stuff like that, their ego tends to come out and they don't even realize it. The ego is so powerful in our lives that if we're not careful, it comes out at these times and we're totally unaware of it. And, you know, when we are being taken over by this thing called ego, more of our conscious self, right? Then we tend to become, you know, these zombies in our lives again, and we're taken over. We're actually being taken by the external environment around us, even though we say we're not, because we're enlightened. Just because you read material on it and just because you meditate doesn't make you enlightened necessarily. See, the moment you put judgment on others, or the ego starts to get involved, this is the moment where you stray farther away from being enlightened. See, enlightenment to me is kind of this internal confidence that you have. Because if you are boasting, or if you are projecting that enlightenment out to other people, and you're saying, I'm enlightened and you need to be enlightened too, that is the moment where you're straying away from being enlightened, because enlightenment is about acceptance, accepting the world and the people around you, but having this internal confidence in yourself that you do have a broader perspective on reality, on life, without judgment. So, you know, ego is it can be a very tough thing for people, because we all have it. It's not like we can just get rid of the ego, but it can control us, and it can come out when we least expect it. So, you know, the moment you can be aware of when it's your ego talking and not your enlightened self talking is the moment where you bring that closer to you. You bring everything closer to you. And, you know, this is why I will never consider myself, I don't think I'm enlightened, because I have a lot to learn. I know my ego comes out in many instances, and I don't like it, but I'm human, and we're all human, and you have to recognize that it's not just like a simple quick fix. But the thing you can do is work on yourself and work on broadening your perspective on life and the people around you, and get to a place of acceptance, of non-judgment of other people, of non-attachment to the things around you, and not placing so much importance on certain things or situations or negative events that, you know, instill fear in you and anxiety and all negative, low vibrational states for yourself. So, being aware of the ego, it takes practice. And we're never going to be able to 100% get rid of the ego. And we shouldn't get rid of the ego because the ego can help us in certain situations. But it's about recognizing when it's the ego coming out rather than your true self or coming out from your heart and stuff like that. So yeah, that's why I will never, consider myself better than anybody else, because we're all the same when it comes down to it. I know, it's I guess it's an enlightened new age thing to say we are all one. I am you, you are me. We are this desk or this chair, we are this dog or cat, or we are all one consciousness or subconscious, universal, subconscious, if you really want to get like esoteric into it. But it is true. It is true. And this is why, once the ego gets involved, it starts to separate us from everything else. So I think enlightenment is about there's no separation between us and other people. Therefore, there's no judgment, because if you're judging somebody else, therefore you're judging yourself, right? So with that being said, have a great day, guys, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.